Good morning, 8th graders. So you should have already checked your answers on the Google Classroom for TMC 30. And then once you've checked them, and I want you to do it, dot with a red pen. If it's correct, circle it if it's incorrect, and then write the correct, do the corrections. But I want you to do the corrections below, so the corresponding, if you get anything wrong here. You don't have to write all 4 of the problems, just write the ones that you get wrong down here, and then for all the other ones that you do. But I am going to walk you through these just in case there are any questions that you might have. So negative times a negative is a positive. Positive divided by a negative is going to be a negative. And then when you're adding or subtracting, you keep change. So basically this is negative 15 plus 12. So you find the difference between the two since you have now opposite signs. So that is the difference between 15 and 12 is 3. You have more negatives than positives, so your answer is negative 3. Here you can either see this as a keep change, or you can just see I have negative 7 and a negative 8. Signs are the same, add them up, keep the sign the same. If you like the keep change method, then you just keep change, and you can see that you have same signs. This is a negative. For this one, you want to isolate the variable term, which is negative 15. So that means you want to move negative 40 to the other side. Use inverse operations. So you're going to add 40 to both sides. Then you cross out the 40, cancel out the negative 40, or cancel out the 40. Bring down the negative 15x and add 5 and 40 of 45. Then you're going to divide both sides by negative 15 to isolate the variable. So your variable is now isolated. You have x alone. Negative 15 into 45 goes a negative 3 times. For the next one, you want to isolate the variable. The easiest thing, since you want to have slope-intercept form, is just go ahead and move this term over. So if I add 3y to both sides, that's going to cancel out this, and now I have negative 18x plus 12 equals 3y. Then you're going to divide each term by a positive 3. So now the y is isolated. Your m, which is the coefficient of x, 3 goes into negative 18 and negative 6 times, and 3 goes into 12 a positive 4 times. And so your m is negative 6 and your b is 4. For this one, you want to keep switch flip. So you have 1/12 multiplied by 15/12. You actually had this one in a previous TMC. I don't know if you remember it, but you want to make sure that you cancel out the common factors before you multiply. So you're basically simplifying before you multiply. 3 goes into 12 4 times, and 3 goes into 15 5 times. Multiply across, and you end up with 5/48. So these next ones you want to, when you're multiplying or dividing by a power of 10, it's just a matter of moving the decimal. So if there's 2 zeros, you're going to move the decimal to the right 2 times. So you have 1030 for your answer. You can move it over 1 time here, so you have 103. And here, when you multiply by 10, when you multiply by 1, you don't change a thing. For the surface area, because neither the radius nor the slant height are a multiple of 7, you're going to use 3.14 per pi. So when you do that, you're going to have basically 3.14 times 4 times 5 plus 3.14 times 4 squared. So when you do that, you're going to have 3.14 times 20. Which is, if you double 3.14, if you can just do that mentally, that's 60 to 80. And so we're just going to put the decimal here. And then you have 3.14 times 16, which is 4 squared. So 6 times 4 is 24. 6 times 1 plus 2 is 8. 6 times 3 is 18. Hold your spot. And then 1 times 3.14. Bring everything, or add everything here. 4 plus 0, 8 plus 4 is 12, 8 plus 2 is 10, and 3 plus 2 is 5. Don't forget your decimals 2 places. So basically you're going to end up with 6280 plus 50, 24, 50 and 24 hundredths. Add that up. Don't forget your decimal. And so you end up with 113 and 4 hundredths centimeters squared. When you're doing what percent is 6 over 30? This is going to be a proportion that you're going to set up. And so when you do that, so you have two choices. You could divide up or you could set up a proportion. I like to show the proportion. I would simplify this though. I divide those both by 6, so I end up getting 1/5. 5 is a factor of 100, so just multiply each by 20. So x equals 20%. Now if you divide up, would you get 20? You'd get 0.2 and then you'd convert it to a percent. For 9/11ths, you want to just divide up. So 11 goes into 9, 0 times. 11 goes into 90, 8 times, and you get 88 with a remainder of 2. 11 goes into 21 time with a remainder of 9, and you can see we're starting over here, so this is repeating. So your answer is 81/100ths repeating. For this one, only the 3 is repeating, not the 2, so that's when you're going to have to multiply by however many places are repeating, a power of 10, so that's going to be 10. So you're basically going to make that into an equation where you have 10x equals 2.3 repeating. And I'm going to put 2 of those. And then you're going to, you make this into an equation, then multiply it by in power. So then you're going to have x minus the original. So when you do that, these basically cancel out. So 3 minus 2 is 1. So you get 2.1, and 10 minus x is 9x. So now you're going to divide both sides by 9. So x is now isolated, but what you see here is that you have a decimal in the divisor. So you need to multiply both the top and bottom by 10 so that you get 21/90ths. The last thing you should see is that you need to divide both the top and bottom by 3 so that x equals 7/30ths. And so your answer is 7/30ths. This last one, you should see that you need to get common denominators. If you don't remember how to find a common denominator, you can either list out the multiples or you can just use the ladder method. What goes into both 8 and 10? 2 goes into both 8 and 10, so you divide. Keep dividing until you can't divide anymore, and then you multiply around. That'll get you your LCM, which is your LCD. So 2 times 4 times 5 is 40. So your common denominator is 40. So then now you have to get equivalent fractions. So 10 times 4, do the same thing to the numerator, you get 12. And then 8 times 5, do the same thing here, you get 25. Now you're ready to add when you have common denominators. So 12 plus 25 is 37/40ths. Denominator stays the same. And actually, I didn't realize this. I didn't see my sign, so this is really important. I looked at the addition, but we have a -5 here. And when you have opposite signs, you have to find the difference. So when you're finding the difference, now I am going to have to regroup here because I don't have enough up top. So I'm going to take 1 away from 5 and make that 4 and 40/40ths. Since I already have 12/40ths, I'm going to add the denominator to my numerator, and that's going to give me 52/40ths. Now when I subtract here, I'm going to have, let's see here, that's 12. And so that's going to be 27/40ths. And I do not have any difference here, but I had more negatives than positives, so my answer is -27/40ths. So that's it for this week. Have a great week, and be sure to listen for the actual lesson this week too.